Hello and welcome to the newest upload on Exponential DFS. I am Michael or That Guy Expo, currently residing in Corey's spot on the overlay. And pay no attention to that. So today I'm joined by two people as we're going to be doing the SEC West preview. I'm joined by Corey or Legion of Boom once again. And James, go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Howdy, I'm James. I'm currently a student at Texas A&M, and that would probably explain why I'm part of the SEC West preview show. This is easily the division I know the most about in football, and college football is really my favorite thing on the face of the earth. So, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, we figured it would be smart to have him on because we're just, some SEC East Gator fanboys that know nothing about the West, but no. We're going to have him on to kind of talk about some of the teams in the West. He follows it a little bit more closely than we do, considering that his team plays in the West compared to the East. But, Corey, why don't you go ahead and get us started today on what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, we're just going to talk about the SEC or the West, sorry, not the East, and
everything's about
going
to
win.
Everything.
Yeah, everything's about the East. The West will be a better show. I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive. And I really like this West Division this year. It looks really good.
Looks
up
very
and down.
Strong.
Yeah, very strong, I would say.
All right, so I guess jumping right into it, who do you guys have? We'll start with the bottom. So who do you guys have finishing dead last in the West? I'll start with James here.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure I have Auburn finishing dead last.
I do too.
I got Mississippi State.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Who do you? Okay, so out of curiosity, who do you have Mississippi State beating? I'm sorry. Who do you have Auburn beating?
In
I don't have them
conference?
beating anyone in the West, the entire SEC.
I like them. I gotta look at their record again because I only wrote down.
I have them at 3-9, and the only three wins I have them penciled down for are like Arkansas State, Louisiana Monroe, and Alabama A&M. That's it.
Yeah, that's the only ones I have them.
That's the only ones I feel confident picking them in. I mean, they have a pretty tough schedule, in all honesty.
I think they're probably going to lose to Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt's got one heck of a defense.
I agree.
And
there's no way they're beating Ole Miss on the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely no way.
There's no way they're beating Georgia on the road, Bama on the road, and this is why I don't like Auburn as well. Is it seems like their winnable games are on the road, and all their really tough games are at home. Oh, Corey dropped out of the call. Well, we're going to continue anyway. Clemson at home, not going to win that. LSU at home, no. I mean, you could argue, I guess, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and A&M, and like you said, Vanderbilt, but I don't feel confident in any of those games.
No. I have them losing to Clemson, beating Arkansas State, losing to A&M, losing to LSU, beating Louisiana Monroe. Then at Mississippi State, I kind of see as a toss-up because I really have no idea who's going to win that game. They're both equally bad this year.
They do play. Oh yeah, that's right. They do play Mississippi State on the road, not at home. I have it at home for a reason. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I think the toss-up games there would probably be Mississippi State on the road, which I don't know if they'll be able to go to Mississippi State and win that game. Arkansas, I think, is a pretty solid team. So, yeah, I think Vanderbilt and Mississippi State are their winnable games. And I'm not in love with Vanderbilt, but I think Vanderbilt, I mean, where did I have them when our East preview show? I didn't have them doing all that bad, and I don't have any confidence in Auburn.
Yeah, I think
I'm back.
You're back, yes.
Yeah.
You changed your camera, and you are officially back.
I can't get my camera on.
But, I have Vanderbilt finishing above Mizzou, South Carolina, and Kentucky in the East. I'm pretty high on them this year. I think Vanderbilt's going to be good.
I think, let me double check, but I'm pretty sure I had them in roughly the same spot. Yeah, I had them tying with Kentucky, but I had Kentucky beating them, so that's why I have them finishing 5th in the East. But I think they'll go 6-6, have a decent year. I mean, I think for Vanderbilt, 6-6 is not all that poor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going bowling this year.
Yeah, I mean,
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I don't see anything that stands out to me about Auburn. I don't know if you have any opinions on this, Corey, about Auburn. I mean, obviously you didn't have them finishing last, so who do you have them beating?
I had them beating Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas State, and then Alabama A&M, and then Louisiana Monroe. So I had them with 5 wins.
Okay, so you had them beating the two kind of games that both of us were saying are a little more of toss-ups.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that they're going to start Sean White at quarterback because he's not a mobile quarterback like Auburn needs with their option offense. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with John Franklin, even though I wouldn't be surprised maybe if they kind of do like a 2 quarterback thing because Sean White's a better passer, mobile, and John Franklin has some good wheels, but he's inconsistent passing.
Yeah,
so Auburn needs to be able to run to win. That's the only problem with them.
If you look at their recent success, it's all been with Cam Newton and Nick Marshall, who have both been really mobile option quarterbacks.
I can't turn my camera on, and I don't know why.
It's okay. We'll power through it. So who do you have? So if you have, so you had Mississippi State finishing last. I have Mississippi State actually having, I mean, in my opinion, a decent season. I have them going like 6-6, like 3-5 in conference. I have Auburn going 0-8 in the conference. So, I mean, I guess I went kind of extreme in the East show as well, where I had a team not winning a game. But I think the West is so stacked and the East is so top heavy that it's kind of tough for some of these teams like Auburn, like South Carolina, Missouri, teams like that to really have great seasons. So I have Mississippi State finishing 6th. I don't know if you guys have anyone above that. I think most people kind of have Mississippi State, Auburn in the bottom of the West. I don't think that's shocking.
Yeah.
I have Mississippi State right above Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, I have them at 6-6 because I have them beating. I mean, they beat them South Bama. I have them beating. I think South Carolina, UMass, Auburn, Kentucky, and Samford. The Kentucky game to me is a toss-up. Like I said, I'm a little high, I guess, on Kentucky this year, but I think Mississippi State can pull it out.
I'm just not high on Mississippi State because they lost Dak Prescott. I mean, a player like him comes through your program, you know. Speaking from a Florida fan with Tebow, a guy like that comes through your program maybe once every 10 years.
True.
You know, not very often. I mean, A&M still hasn't been able to bounce back with losing Johnny. He carried so much of that load on offense, and Dan Mullen needs to have a good running quarterback in his offense. He runs that spread. Dan Mullen's an offensive genius, I think. You can look at what he did with UF with Tebow, but he needs his quarterbacks to be able to run for his offense to succeed. And the problem with Mississippi State is they can't restock their talent like some of the bigger name schools too, because they're just so small. They just don't get the big name players. Not saying that they can't be good, but it's hard to replace a player like Dak Prescott. You just don't get them very often.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just not high on them.
And you look at what Dak's doing in the NFL right now. I mean, it's preseason, but look at what he's doing with the Cowboys right now. It's like, then you really understand the impact he had on that program.
Yeah, I mean, he even looked good last night against the Seahawks. I mean, granted, a lot of his passes, he nickels and dimes a lot. He nickeled and dimed more the Seahawks, but, you know, that's smart football right there. Give what the defense gives you and don't overdo it. So I have no problem with how he played against the Seahawks.
This is off.
You know, I'm a die.
But did you see how much Zeke and Cam were going at each other last night?
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Zeke lowered his shoulder on Cam a couple of times. You usually don't see a running back at the best of Cam, but you know, Cam hasn't played all preseason.
And Cam hit him with a cheap shot a little bit there, but
that's kind of just a welcome to the NFL.
Oh,
shot.
it is.
That's what Cam does. That's how he intimidates.
Don't think you're better than me, rookie.
They'll take the 15 yards to try to intimidate somebody. I'd take it all day with that defense.
Yeah, I think, like you said with Dak, I think with Mississippi State, I think they have a tough time bouncing back. That's why I have them at like 3-5 in the conference. But I mean, I do see them beating a South Carolina team that just doesn't have much talent there. Auburn, we already talked about. I don't think they do much, and I think that Kentucky game could be a toss-up. I think I have them winning, but I think that could easily be a loss to Kentucky. I do think Kentucky has a decent team this year.
It just depends what they get out of Drew Baker. If Drew Baker looks good, they could easily have one of their better seasons. But if he struggles like Patrick Tellis did last year, they'll be in a world of hurt.
So we all think BYU beats them, right?
Yeah, I think BYU can beat them.
I think BYU actually is going to be pretty talented this year.
Yeah, because their starter from last year's returning, right?
Taysom Hill. Yeah, Taysom Hill's coming back, yeah.
Yeah, they actually, I think they were returning quite a few players on defense, too. They are. They're returning almost their entire defense. Like, they're returning 8 defensive players. I mean, they're returning starting defensive tackle, one of their DNs, 3 of their linebackers, 2 of their corners, their free safety. So, yeah, they're returning quite a few guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they should be pretty talented. All right, so moving on. Who do you guys having finishing 5th?
Sorry, James. I have A&M 5th. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I don't really disagree with you.
I actually don't have A&M 5th. Actually,
honestly I have Mississippi State and Auburn at the bottom. I don't really have a set order. I just kind of have bottom, middle, and top. You know, because it's so everyone's like so evenly matched this year that I find it really hard to pick people.
Yeah, I think you have your set 2 at the bottom, your set 2 at the top, and I think that middle tier is kind of very close. I think it's going to be very close. Yeah,
the middle 3, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, the only reason I have A&M low is because of their rush defense was just so bad last year.
Yeah,
and the SEC is just physical, run the ball, and if you can't stop the run, that's the only reason why. If they shore up the run defense, I think they could easily win 8 games easily.
Yeah,
I had them at 7-5.
See, I have. Okay, so I have A&M and Ole Miss, both at 7-5. So I'm not high on Ole Miss. Corey and I kind of talked about this before the show, but I'm not high on Ole Miss really at all. I think they don't have a great year. I think 7-5 to them would not be a great year at all. And I think I actually have A&M finishing above them, just given the fact I have A&M beating Ole Miss. So I have them winning that like tiebreaker basically. But like we talked about, I mean, A&M's really big weak point is stopping the run, and Ole Miss is not going to run the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, I believe the game is A&M, like it's at A&M.
Yeah.
I
think
so. That's I think that's kind of a toss-up game. But since I'm not high on Ole Miss, especially their defense, I'm taking A&M in that game. I think we have a huge question mark with A&M, but I mean, they have a pretty solid quarterback coming in. They're returning like 3 of their starting 4 wide receivers, right?
I think A&M's got the best wide receiver, crop in the West actually. With you got Josh Reynolds, Christian Kirk, Ricky Seals good, and then Alex Beadle too. Yeah, I think they have a very good deep receiving core. Yeah, just the problem is obviously, like you said, with the run, it sucks when you have to take out Myles Garrett because he can't stop the run, and he's easily your best pass rusher easily. He's probably your best defensive player, but when you can't stop the run and you're playing teams like Alabama, Ole Miss that want to run, that hurts a lot, and even Arkansas too. That just hurts.
Yeah, they've completely acknowledged their deficiency against the run, and they've been working on that a lot this offseason. So I see them getting better and improving, not making a massive leap in run defense, but I do see them improving for sure. Because A&M's returning 7 on defense.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is that's a pretty good number. It's about more for the course in the West, I think. I mean, you've got 7 returning with Mississippi State, 8 at LSU,
9 on Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arkansas. They're.
Yeah, but I mean, Ole Miss. I think A&M's going to have. I think I mostly have it as a toss-up, but I think because Ole Miss is only returning 9 players, only returning 9 starters, that A&M's going to take that game.
And I think they match up with them well.
Yeah, that game will be a shootout for sure.
For sure.
I think it'll be a shootout.
We already talked about Ole Miss not being able to play defense, and I don't think A&M. I think A&M will be able to stop the pass, like we said, much better than the run. So
A&M's secondary is pretty strong. It's not great, but it'll get the job done against Ole Miss for sure.
Right. I mean, Ole Miss. Plus, I think what's not going for Ole Miss and having a great season to me is a lot of they have some pretty tough road games, right? I don't think they're going to beat FSU no matter where they play. They're not going to beat Bama no matter where they play. They play at Arkansas, at LSU, at A&M, and they also play Georgia. And I have Georgia. I've kind of gone back and forth on this game. This is a game Corey and I were really debating beforehand, and I've kind of switched it to say they beat them. but I don't know who's going to win that game because.
So, yeah, we talked about it, and the only reason why I have more faith in Ole Miss is because they have Chad Kelly. There is very, very few freshmen, not even in the SEC, just in college football in general, who can come in, true freshmen, not redshirt. I know Johnny and Jameis did it. We're talking true freshmen can come into this league in any college football, a talented league, and do well.
Yep.
It's just it's so tough for them to learn the system. It's a faster game.
You saw Josh Rosen come in last year and start as a true freshman at UCLA, and everyone was talking about how great he was at the beginning of the season when they blew out Virginia, and then they lost 5 of their last 9 games.
Yeah.
It was
bad.
And
then I mean Stafford did it at Georgia. His first year wasn't very good either. And then if they don't want to start their freshman, they have is it Bryce Ramsey? He's so bad. He was so bad last year. They just have so many question marks at quarterback. And then I'm not in love with their defense either. I like their secondary. I don't like the front 7 of Georgia.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Georgia's over under in Vegas for their win total is 8.5. Would you take the over or the under on that?
Under.
For Georgia?
It's at 8.5. I think that's like Vegas does such a good job setting these numbers because to me that's like the perfect number because you have to really decide, are they going to win 8 or are they going to win 9? Because I think that's the biggest question mark. I don't think they win fewer than that, and I don't think they win more than 9, absolutely. I think 9 would be their top number because I think they lose to North Carolina. So that's kind of the tough one is do they win 8.5 or I mean do they win 8 or 9? I'm leaning towards the 8 right now, just given the fact that
I'm taking the under on Georgia for
that.
that.
Take the under.
And that's actually the plus money. Like it's being bet at the over.
Yeah, I think Georgia is outside of Ole Miss. I think Georgia's the most overrated team in the SEC by far, and with Tennessee too. But I think Georgia's up there too. Georgia's not top 15, or they're like 18. They're not 18th best in the country. Their fans think they're top 15. They're not a top 15 team in the country.
Nope. Absolutely.
You have the same problems that Florida has, except you don't have Florida's defense. You have a weaker defense. That's where I'm finding the problems with Georgia.
So A&M, I think the biggest question mark game for me on their schedule that I don't know which way it's going to go is the UCLA game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I honestly don't know what to expect out of UCLA, and a lot of us don't know what to expect out of A&M either. So, I mean, I'm leaning towards UCLA right now, but again, I think they could easily win that and have like an 8-4 season. But they could easily also lose that and have roughly a 7-5 season. So I'm kind of between anywhere from 7 to 8 wins for A&M, and I would not be surprised if they go 8-4.
Yeah, I think UCLA and A&M are both teams that you have no idea what to expect from this season. They both have really high ceilings, and they could both just only win a couple conference games and finish dead last or close to the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, A&M, I think, like you said, they have a huge ceiling, and they could also go 6-6 and lose to Ole Miss, UCLA, LSU, Bama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Because none of those games are easy games.
Yeah, Tennessee or A&M season's basically going to come down, I think, to Trevor Knight and how good he can play. I'm
high on Trevor Knight, so
I think he's good, but he's going to have to do a lot he's going to have to do a lot because we talked about we're not super solid on the defense, and sometimes that's tough. I think he will do good, but I'm a little worried about him. But yeah. I definitely do agree they have good upside, and then they do have the bust. But
is he going to be distracted, James?
Trevor Knight?
Yeah.
Compared to Kyle Allen and Kyler Murray, I would say no. Because if you think about it, this quarterback situation has improved incredibly from this time last year to this year. Because you had a true sophomore and a true freshman really competing for the job at A&M last year, and now you have a redshirt senior and a redshirt junior.
Yeah.
And you had Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen, who really, I think, both had been promised playing time, and it was just a bad quarterback room. I think that they were both not happy with how it seemed like they didn't have the coaches didn't have complete faith in either one of them. But now you've got the leadership from Trevor Knight and Jake Hubenak, and I think that's going to be a really big thing for A&M.
I think if A&M goes any worse than 7-5, someone's done.
Yeah, I think A&M almost got too deep at quarterback for their own good. We see teams get a little too deep at position, and they end up getting in trouble because they're like, well, you were going to play, and they're like, oh, wait, well, he was supposed to play, and then one guy gets mad, he transfers, and the other guy gets mad, he transfers.
If A&M goes 7-5 or 6-6, James, do you think someone's done? Do
7
they have
and
to go
5.
8-4?
7 and 5, I don't know, but 6-6, yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah,
I think he's I think he's walking on eggshells right now, even after just what occurred with the whole presentation issue. I think that brought a lot of negative light to the school and to the program in general, and that just shows I think he doesn't have a lot of control there.
What, the chalk talk thing?
Whatever it was called, yeah, the presentation to the women about football.
I mean, he did take action to suspend them immediately after it happened.
He did. I'm just saying, for that to even somehow happen, is kind of mind-boggling.
I think. I really don't know what to think about that, honestly.
Like, who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's completely inappropriate, and they deserve to be punished for it. But, like, I think people are making way too big of a deal out of it.
People make a big deal of everything.
Compared to, like, what happened at Baylor this past year, this is basically nothing.
And they sold their season tickets quicker than they ever had before.
Baylor?
Yes. Their season tickets apparently sold out quicker than they had ever had in their history, even after that. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I was just going to say about someone, it just depends what games he wins, because I've noticed a trend that if you can't beat your rivals, you don't stay at your coaching position. Fans get mad, they call for your head. It just depends which games he wins,
Who
in my
do you
opinion.
consider A&M's rivals, like, in the SEC?
I would say...
Like, that, to me, that's the toughest question.
I say Alabama's their rival, but they're not going to be
Bama for a while.
I would say Ole Miss could be one of their rivals. I could see Ole Miss being one of their rivals.
And I could see them beating Ole Miss. So.
And then
that's why I miss the Big 12, because you don't have
they don't really have
it's still a lot different. Maybe I don't feel like they've established any rivalries in the SEC yet, honestly.
Maybe like in Arkansas. I think when they played Florida that one year, that was almost like their rivalry, because they were like, we could see Texas players versus Florida players, that's what everyone wants.
Tense games.
Surprised they don't play each other more, to be honest. But
the reason why they don't is because Florida already has LSU locked in at their west spot, and they like to have the other one rotate in and out.
Yeah.
That's why. Which I like. I don't want to see them play the same two teams from the west every year. I just wouldn't want to see that. I think it's kind of boring.
So moving on, I think for the third team, I have Arkansas. Do you guys have anything different there?
What,
in the third place spot?
For third, yeah.
Fourth, I have Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss fourth.
Yeah, fourth, we kind of have them flip-flop. Like, I have A&M fourth instead of fifth, because I have A&M beating Ole Miss and them having the same record. So, I have it go Ole Miss A&M, but I don't see a problem with A&M Ole Miss. Like, I think that's kind of... I do think Arkansas gets the third.
Yeah, honestly, I think those three could go... Like
either way,
honestly.
Yeah, Arkansas can completely disappoint because they don't pass the ball very well, and if you get behind in any,
and they lost Brandon Allen and they lost Hunter Henry,
and they lost Alex Collins.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
I think their defense is going to be pretty strong, but you could see if they get. I have them losing to TCU.
Yes, I do too.
Because I think they're going to get behind, but. To be honest, looking at their schedule, I don't think it's all that tough for games outside of Bama, UF, LSU, and TCU. Like Louisiana Tech, Texas State, Alcorn State, at Auburn, at Mississippi State, at Missouri, Ole Miss, and A&M. Like, that is not that hard of a schedule. Because Ole Miss, I think they beat Ole Miss, and I think they beat A&M, but again, that's another game. If A&M really hits their ceiling, they could beat Arkansas pretty handily, because if they can get up, like we talked about, I don't think Arkansas can come back.
And we've seen what's happened the last 2 years at A&T Stadium with A&M playing Arkansas. It's like two of the best games that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think A&M does have an 8 wins. I think their ceiling is 8, and I think their lowest floor is 6. I don't know if I see them getting above 8 wins.
I have their ceiling at about 9, and their floor like much lower than 6. Yeah. I think they could. I think it's possible we could lose. Like,
I don't see them losing more than 6 games.
Yeah, but if Trevor Knight doesn't play good, how are they going to win games? They don't run the ball that well.
They're not going to beat
their
Auburn.
Defense isn't strong.
But they're not going to lose to Auburn or South
Carolina.
Yeah,
but it's almost a situation.
That's what I said.
it's almost a situation like Auburn. If they can't run the ball, they can't win. LSU's the same way. If they can't run the ball, they can't win.
That's true. That's
why
why LSU
last year,
that's the
no way. Last year I said there was no way that A&M was going to lose to Auburn, so I invited friends from other schools to come see that game, and then we lose.
They lost to Auburn last year?
Yeah, we did lose to Auburn last year.
I actually forgot about
Auburn.
Wow.
Auburn ran all over us, and we couldn't stop it.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe the Auburn game, like we said, if they can't stop the run, that's going to be a close game.
Yeah, that game, if Auburn can run, that'll be a tough game for them.
I still don't see them losing to Auburn. I think Auburn's going to be really bad.
But Auburn dismissed their top running back, right?
No, I think he might have gotten suspended.
Let me double check.
Yeah, they dismissed Jovan Robinson, who was the guy who ran all over A&M last year.
Oh, but they returned their leading one, Peyton Barber. I'm pretty sure he returns. He was their leading rusher from last year, so that'll help out their run game. But it honestly, for me, it doesn't matter who their running back is because Sean White can't run. He's not a running quarterback, and they have to have a running quarterback. I'm really shocked that John Franklin wasn't the starter, but John Franklin can throw the ball. I don't know. John Franklin can't throw. Who
were their first couple games this year? Auburn, because they could easily make a switch.
Don't they open up with Clemson? Yeah, they open up.
Yeah, they're going to get absolutely dismantled in that game.
Yeah.
There's no way they even get close to beating them.
No.
It's going to be a nice warm up for Clemson. We'll find out pretty quick in that Clemson game what Auburn's made of, which I don't think will be much. So Bama LSU, to me, I honestly, I don't know.
I have Bama losing to LSU and LSU running the slate and going 12-0.
I have the opposite. I have Bama going 12-0.
I'm leaning Bama winning it just for the given fact. I hold the opinion, show me that you can beat them.
I don't have that opinion, but you're not. I don't care what running back you are. You're not running on Bama. You will not run on that front seven. Nick Saban will make them pass the ball, and Brandon Harris is going to have to beat them.
He's going to load the box to the extreme.
They don't even need to. They can go with 7 in. Their front seven, they have the best front seven in college football. Their defensive line is easily the best in the country, and their linebackers are fantastic. The problem at Alabama's secondary is weak now. They lost some guys to transferring. Yeah. They kind of lost. Their secondary is weak, and he's going to make them pass. The problem is Alabama's weaknesses are, we've seen it. They have trouble with dual threat quarterbacks that are on a spread team. We've seen it with, Clemson almost beat them. Texas A&M beat them. Ole Miss beat them. LSU's not going to spread the ball out. No. They're going to run out of the eye.
And who does Bama actually play this year that's going to spread the ball on them? A&M?
No one. Ole Miss and A&M are the only ones.
I think that at Tennessee game is going to be a tough game, but we already talked about I'm not sold on Tennessee, and I think Bama's very good.
Joshua Dobbs isn't going to be able to throw on them because Tennessee doesn't have the talent at receiver. They're going to run the ball with Jalen Hurd 50 times, and they're going to get... Yeah.
I think the closest would be Ole Miss, but Ole Miss is not nearly talented enough to be Bama. So
And
I think, honestly, looking at their schedule, USC, I think they anticipated being a pretty strong out-of-conference game, but I don't think USC is going to be all that great.
Yeah, I just want to see Brandon Harris do it. I think he has all the talent in the world. He has Malachi Dupree. He's got Travin Durrell. He's got all the talent at receiver. He just is so inconsistent. I want to see him do it first. If he can come out fired, just play consistently, I would say they have a good shot at Alabama, but I haven't seen enough from him. He's too up and down.
LSU has some tough. Who, in your opinion, who has the tougher schedule to try to run the slate, though?
Alabama.
I think it's LSU.
Yeah.
Wait.
No,
they have to play Wisconsin. Bama has to play USC.
I think the USC game's going to be tougher.
You have to think USC's going to be tougher than Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, who does Wisconsin have on their team anymore?
They lost Melvin Gordon 2 years ago.
Yeah,
okay.
LSU already beat them last year. They beat them
Bama
with a freshman.
Bama has to play at Tennessee.
That's not a hard game, though. I don't care how many times you tell me Tennessee is good. They're not a good team. Tennessee sucks. They're so overrated. What is Jalen Hurd going to do against that front?
No, I'm saying it is Bama, I guess, with the tougher schedule, because when you consider Wisconsin, USC, but then you also say, well, they have to play at at Tennessee, and LSU doesn't really have any games similar to that unless you say at UF.
They have to play at Florida.
Oh, they have to play at UF, which I think is going to be a really tough game too. But I'm saying, really hard game if you're buying into the Tennessee is better than Florida narrative, then which I don't personally buy into, but and at A&M will be relatively tough for LSU as well.
The only problem with Alabama is it doesn't matter. Road, home, they don't care. They don't get routed by environments. Nick Saban's been in it all. He doesn't care. He knows how to. And
I think
even at LSU,
season strength of schedule might say Bama.
I mean,
right?
Like,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean.
But you could make the argument for LSU having to go to A&M, having to go to UF, having to play Wisconsin, having to play at Arkansas.
Well, the problem is, like, LSU at A&M, it's like that's on Thanksgiving Day. And it's not like A&M plays Texas anymore on Thanksgiving, so it's not going to be a sold-out game. Like, I guarantee you that the half of the third deck is probably going to be empty. Yes.
Even
absolutely.
Against LSU?
Against LSU, yeah.
That's crazy.
Unless both of us are, like...
Let's say A&M's having a pretty good year.
10. Unless both of us are top 10 going into that game, I don't think that game's going to be a sellout for A&M.
Yeah.
I think like the third deck on the student section is going to be like only 3/4 full.
Yeah, it's hard to. I don't know. I mean, I think Bama. I guess when you look at preseason strength, maybe it's Bama, just because of the Tennessee game.
But it's like, look, all of their games on the road, I think, are their toughest games. Ole Miss,
LSU, or Bama.
At Ole Miss, at Arkansas, at Tennessee, at LSU.
Yeah.
I think those are their 4 toughest games.
Yeah.
In Florida, yeah.
No, that's
he's talking about Alabama.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alabama. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in LSU, I think their tougher games are on the road too, though.
Oh, well, they get Alabama at home. That's their toughest game.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, their road games are out.
Yeah, I'm talking about outside of Bama and LS, or outside of Bama, but yeah, I mean, getting Bama at home is a huge deal.
Yeah, that's like a huge.
This might be the biggest deal of the whole like college football season is that LSU gets Bama at home. I think that's going to make a huge difference.
If LSU loses to Florida this year, their season's over. They're done for. If they that's their make or break game right there in my opinion. If they lose that game, they're in trouble.
It's absolutely
I don't like predicting teams to go 12-0 because especially like even Alabama because they do have holes and they probably will lose a game. I just have trouble finding that game. We don't know who's going to play quarterback. How do you replace Derrick Henry? That's gonna. I think this is the 1 year Alabama may have to go and do like a kind of a. Usually Alabama likes to run the old style. We're gonna give one running back all the carries. Like last year, Derrick Henry had almost like 400 carries last year. I think this is the year they're gonna have to kind of do some splitting up because they're very high on Bo Scarborough, but he gets hurt a lot. He's kind of one of those players that just always gets hurt. So they may have to go with like a combo backfield.
And I think that's why a lot of people actually have LSU over them is because of the question marks that you could say Bama has on offense. And LSU doesn't have nearly as many on offense.
It's just
and they're returning a lot of players on defense. That's why you could argue for that reason you could say LSU's a stronger team. I still think Bama's going to be extremely strong, but I mean you have some personalities like I don't know if you've heard Colin Cowherd come out and talk about he thinks this is really going to be a down year for Bama where they could really have a bad season.
My one problem with that is that everybody says this about Alabama every year.
Yeah,
and then they win the West and then they win the conference.
Like 10-2 for them is a disappointment.
Their team's just loaded. I mean, if you look at their roster, they have like 5-star players that you're like, oh yeah, I remember him. He was the number 2 player in the country 3 years ago, and now he's just starting to play. They just have these guys just loaded on their bench, ready to go. It's ridiculous.
That's why it's like, they're not returning a lot of players here. Well, look at the guys reloading like they're juniors. It's not like they're true freshmen.
And then my other problem is like, what is Leonard Fournette going to do? Is he gonna, are they gonna lower his carries a little bit? Is he gonna, what does he want to do this year? Because he's ready. He's thinking a little bit. He's already ready for the NFL. Yeah, can he take another year of all that?
We kind of talked about this. Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about this. I think on one of my other shows is what is Fournette and LSU gonna do here? Because I mean, he's going to be a top 10, if not top 5 pick for sure.
Yeah,
he's easily the most talented running back in the entire country besides
Easily.
McCaffrey.
He all around running talent. He's more talented than McCaffrey. McCaffrey.
For size and size and everything. Yeah. I love McCaffrey, but yeah.
Yeah, McCaffrey's more of like he's a really good third down back, but I mean, more pure running style for like NFL style team. Leonard Fournette is.
Now my question, and this on topic but off topic. Who's the one team in the entire country that you feel the most confident predicting an undefeated season right now? Is it an SEC team or is it like Clemson?
I
think Clemson would be the team I feel most comfortable saying
Clemson has some holes too. I mean, Clemson's got the offense this year, but they lost a lot of talent on defense. They lost Shaq Lawson.
They did. But I think the ACC is a lot weaker than the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, they have a pretty easy schedule.
Do they play FSU during the regular season this year? They do, right?
They always play FSU.
Yeah, they do. So is that game at FSU? Game.
Yeah, that's their toughest game. I think they'll handle FSU. I think
you're not sold on FSU.
I'm not. I think
FSU is like a double-digit over/under prop.
I'm like Dalvin Cook or bust for them on offense this year. I mean, they have the talent and like they have. Here's the problem. Outside of like Travis Rudolph, their receivers just haven't proven much. Like they're kind of relying on Erman Lane, and I always loved to laugh at him because he was the guy who was committed to Florida. He was a 5-star. He decommitted. He goes to FSU, and he's done absolutely nothing since he's been there. And Florida fans just laugh at him, and he's just done nothing. I mean, I'm just kind of worried about their receiving talent. That's the only thing about FSU. But other than that, I think they're fine. I mean, I love what they have outside of that.
All right. So, any closing statements here that we have about the West? So, I mean, for me, it's LSU, Bama at the top for sure, and then I have Arkansas, A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn. I'm leaning Bama at the top. But I think, again, we don't know what Bama's going to do on offense. And LSU, we have a very good idea. But like we said, LSU's strengths on offense are going to play into Bama's strengths on defense. So that's kind of why that game's going to be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say is SEC championship game, I think it's going to be the same as last year. It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be Florida again. I think it's going to be exactly the same.
For me, I've got the clear-cut Auburn, Mississippi State on the bottom, Alabama, LSU on the top, everybody else in the middle, and I have no freaking idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I think A&M
absolutely no idea.
They could beat Arkansas because they could get ahead, and Arkansas can't come back, and then they finish like 8-4, 9-3, and then I mean, it's those middle three teams definitely the question mark. Ole Miss over under 8. What would you have them at?
I have them right at 8. So.
You have them right at 8. So you have it put. Yeah. I mean, I have them under 8.
It's just like the SEC West. It's so difficult to play in because everybody has the potential to beat everybody else. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just so good.
In the East, we can't really say that because the East, I think you have those top 3. I mean, I guess it's similar, but I don't think you have that middle battle. I think over there you have Florida, Tennessee at the top with Georgia being there, but I don't think they're quite there. And then the rest. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Missouri. So
yeah.
I think it's much different. Yeah. I think the divisions are going to be very, very different this year, for sure. I think the West is loaded. I think you could put Mississippi State or Ole Miss. I think if you put Ole Miss in the East, they'd be a top 3 team in the East.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think they would be. I think they'd be above Georgia. I think they'd be up there with Florida and Tennessee in the East.
Yeah.
And even Mississippi State, I think, would be right there with Georgia. I mean, I don't think they'd be quite at where Georgia will be, but Mississippi State's not an awful team. So, in my opinion, I don't.
I have no idea what's going to happen in the West. I've been saying this for like 3 years. I got no idea.
It's going to be a fun year. So, thank you guys for joining us today on our SEC West preview show. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment down below if we're stupid, if you agree with us. Leave your opinions for us. Thank you very much for all the feedback and views on our latest videos and the SEC East preview show. Go ahead and spread it around. This has been Michael or That Guy Expo, joined by Corey and joined by James. See you guys.